another GM because it's always going to bite you back eventually. And I mean, Waddell won that one.
He did.
And when he wanted Zucker, he could not get a call back. So
I always had the baseball general managers I covered, McPhail and Terry Ryan. I always said, you want to win the deal. You don't want to win it too bad.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, you do want to win the deal. And that was always my issue when Paul's like, it's a good old-fashioned hockey trade. Well,
not really.
You should try to win the deal.
Yeah.
And it's like the Donato for Coyle trade. He was smart enough to get a fifth and turn it into a fourth by them advancing one round. But why did you not have that continue when they went to the second round, the third round, and maybe the fourth round? And look at them. I mean, they could have turned that thing into, you didn't trade Stahl for a first, so they were willing to maybe give up a first. So maybe, you could have turned that thing into a first or a second by just having, hey, all right, if you win 2 rounds, it's now a third round. If you win 3 rounds, it's now a second round. If you win it all, it's now a first round. I mean, that's part of the job of the GM is trying to maximize your asset.
As we expand the podcast network, Father, we could have you maybe do our religion podcast. We could call it Morality Aside.
You and a rabbi.
Perfect.
You and a rabbi.
Yeah. And you guys tell jokes. A priest and a rabbi walk into a bar, and then you tell us what happened.
Priest and a rabbi walk in the tin shed.
We do have a deal with Bite Squad. Promo code is TalkNorth. That'll get your first delivery fee waived. But go to bitesquad.com website. They'll probably have a deal that's even better than that in your area. You can also check out what restaurants they deliver from. They do deliver morning, noon, night, late night, snack time, home, office, wherever you like. And the easiest way to work with them is the Bite Squad app. Bite Squad app. Upload your information. You can just order on your phone. Makes things really easy. So thanks to bitesquad.com. I was going to ask you something. Well, actually, let me hit a couple Twitter questions. We have a lot of Twitter questions that are actually pretty good here.
I'll be the judge.
Yeah, from Brett LeBear, are the Wild at 100-1 odds a good bet in Vegas?
To what, not make the playoffs? Then it'd be a great one.
I think to win it all.
Don't waste your dollar.
From Nate Morton, how many books will Dan Myers sell on Saturday?
I don't know. I hope he does well.
Me too.
He's Dan Myers, the author.
Nate, another one from Nate. Russo, do you ever sleep? You seem to work 24/7. While I appreciate all the great articles, podcasts, and the tweets, you need to take care of yourself and rest every now and then. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. From Roger G. Nope, we're not going to read that one. From Mac Nelson, with the Wild's awful start to the season, does that pretty much spell doom for the Wild's chances at the 2021 Winter Classic?
I want to see the Roger G one. Is it going to piss me off?
No, it wasn't bad. It was an aside. It wasn't really a question.
What was the question?
2021 Winter Classic. Does them playing like this ruin their chances of getting it?
No.
No, it doesn't ruin their chances, or no, they're not getting it?
No, it doesn't ruin their chances.
Oh, interesting. So you're going to get it? Maybe. So I think they have a good shot. I do think they have a good shot. Sounds to me like
it's still not a done deal, and they're as I've written, so I don't feel like I'm giving outside secrets. I mean, they've got one serious obstacle, and that's that the game, as I've written, the game would be played at Target Field. There's a lot fewer seats there, which means a lot less revenue than the NHL is accustomed to getting when they're playing in these massive football stadiums. So they're all trying to figure out different ways to maximize revenue that weekend. Work on the ticket prices, work on other stuff that would be around the game that maybe hasn't been around even other games, which could be exciting for fans, exciting for people like me to see, and things like that. So it's not a done deal, but I do think the Wild really have a good chance of it. I really do, and I've got to think we'll find out soon. I mean, usually they want to coincide this around the next Winter Classic, and the next one's coming up.
While Vicky gets ready to ask the question that will define this podcast, I'll ask one follow-up. Russo Slack says, just get to the final thought, because that's his favorite thing. Ralph Wiggum, I'm sure it's his real name. Question for Jim: best gluten-free pizza and bread. Pizzeria Lola. Fantastic pizzeria. I actually haven't found great gluten-free bread. I found a lot of decent gluten-free bread. Pizzeria Lola is fantastic, gluten-free or regular. Yes, Vicky?
Why does it have to be at Target Field?
I just think that's where they want to do it. Something different. Probably the sight lines.
The good thing is the stands are so cantilevered that if you have an upper deck seat, you can actually see pretty well.
To me, I thought the game at I don't know where you guys sat, but I thought the game at TCF, I mean, from the press box, it was.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
You find yourself watching it on TV,
Right.
And so I mean, I'm kind of excited about it being at Target. If it's at Target Field, I just think that fans will have a much better experience seeing the game.
Yeah, I liked the last one, but I had good seats. So.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Yeah.
Where's Fenton now? Is he still in town?
I think he's in the Cape. There were rumors he was scouting for Columbus. I've been kind of led to believe that if that's true, it's not been done on the up and up because there wasn't anything worked out with the Wild. But I don't know. He hasn't really surfaced.
How long is he on the payroll for the
Two
Wild?
more years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
It's not your money.
Well, actually, it is. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of my money. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, I guess.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
Thanks, Vicky. We
Yeah,
appreciate
you
it.
are a true stakeholder.
No kidding.
Yeah.
From our friend Bill, we missed seeing your father at the shows. I hope he's doing well. Does Greg Patterin have to get back into the lineup to have any trade value? Seems like Winnipeg are certainly thin on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Patterin was okay last year, and he as far as I understood, Paul was trying to trade him, and nobody was taking. So now coming off this injury, I think that his trade value is very slim.
From Magnus Anderson, do you think Guerin will approach a player like Grigorenko to make Kaprizov's transition to North America easier?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's, again, as he said, it's got to be the right player. I think Grigorenko makes a lot of sense. They're teammates, they're friends. He's somebody that can play center. But again, it's got to make the right sense, I think, to bring him here. I think we do know that the Wild could always use young guys. It would be a flyer. It'd be fine. They do have Kovanov in the system as well. Maybe he's somebody that can have a relationship with him as well.
From Cody Kobernick, he's been a huge fan of X-play of late. The last few games, seemed like Boudreau has leaned on him for defensive zone starts too. Can you see him still having the potential to reach a Koivu level?
I think Nico Sturm's probably the future Mikko Koivu of this organization, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, Ek. It's funny because I don't disagree with you, but he's still. It's just for somebody that just never scores. It was disappointing to watch him yesterday on those two face-off plays, especially the first one. And I know that's the type of stuff that drives Bruce crazy, and I get it. I mean, if you're not going to score, you better be just perfect in your own end, especially when you're to get to Cody's point. Are getting the defensive zone starts because you're trusted so much, and then a simple face-off play that is something that that really all players should be able to do in their sleep. Just he got confused on them, both of them. So.
From Andrew Nicias, will Guerin trade Stahl while he's on a tear and increasing his trade value, if that's the way it works?
I mean, again, that would be a total guess. Again, no trade, modified no trade. So, right now I don't think that's something that Billy's thinking about.
Another one from Cody. Any updates on the Wild's analytics department?
Paul hired Matt Sells from Hockey Canada. I've had a couple dealings with him now. He seems like a really sharp guy. He helped me understand something, 3 or 4 weeks ago on the whole on the Susie Hunt pairing and how good they were doing right off the hop. And then I do know that Billy is going to work to whether it's that department or not. He is working eventually to thicken up the staff that's pretty thin right now.
It is interesting, this market. The Twins have built a pretty amazing operation around analytics. It's huge, and it's also kind of secretive. So they've hired person after person after person. Computer experts. They've added to their staff. They've added to their computing technology. They hired a manager who's analytics driven. Their coaching staff's analytics driven. The Wolves, their general manager came from the Houston Rockets organization, which is very analytics driven. Saunders is analytics driven. The Vikings, I think their front office is analytics driven. Their coaching staff's more old school. Do the Wild need to move more in that direction, or is that done in hockey?
No, it is. I mean, you look at teams like the Devils, and it's a really thick, big department. You look at what Seattle's doing right now, bringing in Alex, who worked for the Wild, and she is doing a really great job building that as well. They just hired some kid. I just saw the release the other day. Some kid that was working, I think it was like a blog or something, but it was, out of college, and they're bringing him in. I could be getting that completely wrong. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I do think, the Wild they're archaic right now. There's no doubt about it. He's gonna have to build it up. I think he's willing to do that and understands that they've got to build it up. I do think hockey is still a very different sport than these others, but the more information, the better. It just only helps you make better decisions to understand why a player is playing well or why a player is not playing well or who could fit on the team and who doesn't fit on this team. And for an organization that's going to make a lot of player personnel moves here in the next couple of years, it could only help advancing that department, and I think Guerin understands that.
To me, that's where analytics really help. It's like everybody knows what a good player looks like, and you don't need stats to identify somebody who just plays the game well. It's who might fit in well, who might fit in well at a certain salary, who might fill a weakness. Well,
and that's how I use it. And I think a lot of people that read my writing know that I don't use it so much to in throwing numbers out there. But I use it to just kind of confirm what I'm seeing. So like last night on the LA game, I went to Natural Stat Trick just to make sure. Right, I am right that the Eck Greenway and Cunnin line is spending most of the night in the offensive zone, and I confirm that. I am right that the Stahl, Zuccarello, Koivu, Parisi grouping right now is not playing that great. And that confirmed it. The one guy that also was down there, maybe by circumstances being on that line, was Fiala. If you looked at his numbers last night from an advanced stat standpoint, it was like he didn't have a great game. And again, from an eye test, I thought he at least was, of those top two lines, probably the best player on those top two lines.
Any good stories from your trip?
No, and then one other thing, you mentioned being secretive on the advanced stats. That is the one thing, is that a lot of these teams have proprietary information. They have their own models and things like that, and they don't want us as writers being able to put that out there, so they usually don't allow us access to those people. So that's why during Andrew Thomas and Alex's time here in Minnesota, you never saw a feature written by really any of us. We just weren't allowed. It wasn't that Chuck Fletcher was being a jerk. It's that he doesn't want them giving trade secrets away and things like that, because under Fletcher, he thought that they were starting to be more advanced than other teams when they had these two very, very smart people working for them. So it wasn't without trying that I wanted to do features on them or things like that. So that was the big thing. As far as stories on the trip, not really a ton, actually. Went up to Los Gatos. That was a really awesome place. Went to this restaurant in Los Gatos, my first off night there. Went with two of the San Jose Raiders.
Los Gatos?
It's a city north or west of, I believe, west of San Jose. Okay. And it's just this cool little town. And a lot of, that's where, when Bill Guerin played for the Sharks, he stayed at the Los Gatos Hotel. So it's a cool town, a lot of little wine restaurants, wineries, but without having to go to Napa or Sonoma or like that. So we went to this one restaurant called Nick's Next Door. And the next day, Alex Stalock, as he was going out to the morning skate for the game he started, he said to me, "What did you do last night?" And I told him I went to Los Gatos. He goes, "Oh, I love that place. I used to hang out there." And he's like, "Where did you eat?" And I told him where. He goes, "How'd you get in there?" And I'm like, "I don't know. We called."
Name dropped.
So it was, but Kevin Kurz, our San Jose athletic writer, just maybe he knew somebody, but he got us in there, and it was unbelievable restaurant. And trying to think what else. Marina Del Rey, the night of the Vikings game. Margot LaPanta, Anthony's lovely wife, was out in California, so we went to a wine bar and a great restaurant. But really, not too many big things. It was a lot of travel. I had the worst travel, believe it or not, just to get from San Jose to Phoenix. I had a 4-hour delay in LA. So didn't get in till 9:30, 10 p.m. and then just hung out with a friend that night. So it was just one of those, felt like go to practice, right? Go to practice. I'm working on this. I think I've said this. I won't say what it is, but I've been working on this huge story that's going to run in early December. And that is taking a lot of phone time doing interviews. I've already talked to 15 people for it. It's going to probably be a lot more still. So that was another. It was a lot of time. So like those times where you maybe didn't see me tweeting or didn't have a live story after a practice, it was because I was working.